We are live, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Good morning. I send greetings to each member and to the citizens of Chatham County and to our customers who support public transit. Before I call this meeting to order, I would like to first acknowledge and make mention of some of the calls and emails this board has received regarding our paratransit services. We, along with many other agencies, are experiencing the unfortunate impacts of COVID-19 pandemic. We have been informed that we are not always able to service all of our customers on time or without delays. It's at no fault of our customers or our staff, to include our operators who are working hard every day, trying to weather the storm. So I present my sincere apology for the impact that delayed services brings up on our customers. With some good news in the making, and according to the agenda today, staff will be presenting an item to the board as a temporary resolution to the problem so we can better serve our customers in the immediate future. Again, I would like to recognize the many customers and their advocates who we respectfully appreciate. Although we may not always be able to respond with a quick fix, please know that staff is always working diligently to resolve arising issues. With that said, I would like to call this meeting to order. Beverly, let's begin. Roll call, please.
Good morning, Board of Directors. Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Director Emerson.
Here.
Director Odell. Director Stone.
Present.
Director Lockett. Director Adams.
Present.
Director Robinson.
Present.
Director Leggett.
Present.
He's present, okay. Director O'Halloran.
Present.
Chairman Cody.
Present.
Motion passed, sir. You have a quorum of the board. I'm sorry, you have a quorum, Chairman.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. But before a motion is made, I would like to ask for a motion to approve today's agenda with an amendment to add an executive session towards the end to discuss personnel matters and litigation.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. So moved. Mr. Chairman, I would also like on the consent agenda to talk just briefly about the paratransit contract.
All right.
Since, you know, the county is involved with the payment to paratransit. I think that was on.
I'll second Helen's motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beverly.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, is it possible, I know Reverend Nellie Bordeaux had requested to speak publicly at this meeting. Are we going to, did you reach back out to them?
Yes, we sent a, didn't we send a response to them?
Yes, and then they sent a response back requesting that a public comment in this meeting. Do we have space for that now?
I don't believe.
Mr. Chairman, I reached out to Mr. Bordeaux yesterday.
Yes.
I have not received a response back from him.
I think it's the email is coming from Mr. Bordeaux, but the person sending it is Reverend Nellie Bordeaux. It's Tom's wife.
Okay.
If we can't do one today, then I definitely think we should put one on the agenda for the next board meeting. That's just kind of unfortunate that we're not able to let them speak.
Yes, we can make that change.
You have to have a posted open speaking so the entire public can do so. You can't restrict it to one and only one member.
Yes, of course. I absolutely agree. I think it would have been, let's be sure to add that onto all of our agendas moving forwards. I'll be sure to make sure that's happening.
Let's note that, Beverly.
Yes, sir. I have that noted. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Chairman.
Ross.
We'll revisit that. Thank you.
All right.
Chairman, would you like for me to do the roll call vote for the
Yes.
consent action items?
Yes, ma'am.
Director Stone, were you looking to move item number 3 to individual action for discussion?
Just anywhere where it's appropriate for discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
So for consent, we'll be approving item 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'll do the roll call vote for that. Director Anderson,
Yes.
Director Odell, Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett, Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director O'Halloran,
Yes,
Chairman Cody.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you.
a quick point of order. Did we hear from Tabitha or Bobby that they weren't going to be attending today?
Well, I just called Mr. Lockett and he said he was trying to log in.
Okay, yeah, he does it by phone, right? That's always a nightmare.
Thank you, Director Adams.
So we don't need to excuse anybody at this point.
Are we good?
Yes, sir, Chairman. Thank you. I
All
do,
right.
I had a missed call from Mr. Butler, so he's probably having issues logging in. I'll need to check on him as well.
All right.
Okay,
No, Andrew's here too, just as in case.
good. Thank you, Dr.
All right. Moving on to items of action today. We have 7 items on the consent agenda. These items have gone through
Chairman.
committee. Uh-huh.
We just did the consent agenda items.
Yes,
We're under the individual action items, and we have 2 items now, the diesel bus purchase and the supplemental paratransit service agreement with CRC.
all right. So we're moving on to individual.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now that we have approved the consent items, we will now go into the individual items. As presented today, we have 2 items that went to the committee to propose action, but has been postponed until later in the agenda, later in the meeting date. So the items we are entertaining at this time is diesel bus purchase. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
We have discussion. Beverly, you can call for a roll call.
Yes,
Vote,
sir.
please.
Director
Excuse me,
Emerson?
Beverly, before you do that, this is Andrew Walkoff.
Yes.
I think Ty Butler is trying to get into the meeting.
Is it about that contract, Andrew?
Okay.
No, I think he's just trying to join the meeting.
Oh, okay. I know you guys already.
I'm sorry to
reviewed
have
the
interrupted.
contract.
Okay, let me try to get, Chairman, do you mind if I take a,
No, let's get him.
okay. I'm sorry, they were showing up on, in the waiting
There he
room.
is.
Okay.
Mr. Butler is on. Ty, you want to just acknowledge that you're here?
Yes, I'm finally here. Thank you.
All right.
Couldn't get anybody's attention to let me in.
Thank you for that, Mr. Andrews.
Right, so we don't have any discussion.
Okay.
Beverly, you're gonna call for a vote, please, right?
Yes, sir, I'll do a roll call vote for the diesel bus purchase. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell, it's showing that she's just still joining. Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Have to unmute, Bobby.
Yes.
thank you. Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director O'Halloran,
Yes.
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you.
The
We've
next
now-
item, Chairman, is the
Uh-huh.
supplemental paratransit service agreement for CRC.
I'll make a motion to accept so we can go to discussion.
I'll second that. And as far as do we need to vote, and then I'll bring up my
No,
questions?
discussion goes before vote.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make certain that this had been reviewed by the county, since the county pays paratransit.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming that the hourly fee is somewhat in line with our normal contract, or is this, the only reason I'm asking these questions is if the county needs to expect an increase in paratransit costs.
Yes, ma'am. They have offered I'm sorry, go ahead, Stephanie, you can speak to that.
Yes, good question, Director Stone. But this agreement is based upon staying within the budgetary guidelines as adopted within the fiscal year 22 budget. Staff via Ms. Ragland has been cautioned that the expectation is to remain within the approved budget guidelines.
Okay, and we're able to do that with this contract?
Yes, ma'am. The intent is to fund the services with salary savings. As we fill positions, there should really not be a need for the service.
Okay. I just wanted to make certain that the county was not going to be hit with a higher bill and then there be issues with that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Does that include, that's drivers and buses, right? We're not supplying any, they're just supplying the vehicles too?
Yes, sir. They'll be using their own vehicles and their
Okay.
own operators.
Chairman Cody, would you like for me to go into roll call vote?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Director Emerson?
If I may, excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Butler.
if I may, let me at least let the board know that although you may approve this in concept and any draft you may have of the contract, this is subject to further legal review and possible revision and even possible negotiation, and we won't let it go to execution until we're satisfied that it's in proper order.
Okay.
Thank you. Beverly?
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. Director Emerson?
Yes.
Director Odell?
She's here. I don't know if she's unmuted.
Director Odell, we're voting on the supplemental paratransit service agreement with CRC.
Oh, I got a bunch of questions about that. I'm sorry I'm late. I kept getting kicked out.
Yes, ma'am.
So based on what I read, I'm going to say no. Because I had a bunch of questions about it. And I just heard what Ty said. So I want to see it after they get through with it.
Ms. Odell?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, if I may respond to Ms. Odell, there was a very pointed reason for my making that statement I just made. And that has to do with some past history, but would all be a subject for executive session discussion because it involves attorney-client privilege and attorney work product that would be confidential and privileged, and it should only be discussed in executive session. But I'm not objecting. I'm not saying this should not be agreed to in concept. I just wanted to make it clear that we were going to review it further, refine it further, possibly, and even possibly negotiate some of the terms. And if it's not satisfactory to us, we would alert you to that fact, and it would not go to execution without our approval.
Okay, because
so
my
what-
concern is the problems that we had the last time we were with this agency.
That's what I was referring to, ma'am.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
So what we're approving today is a concept.
We're
Is that-
approving the concept of working with them, or we are approving the possibility of the concept?
I think the best that can be said is you're approving both the concept and at least the draft of the agreement, but that agreement will be possibly subject to further revision or even negotiation before it gets executed.
Okay, because I'm willing to vote for a discussion, but I don't want my vote to be considered as an agreement to move forward.
Well, then in that event, you should, as you started out, you should vote no.
Okay.
We
Because
may-
there were just so many issues in the past. I want to be clear that that's not an issue going forward.
Right.
Given the
That was
extra
my concern.
information, can we redo this vote? Because it
Yeah.
might be interesting
Well,
to
I mean, we
to
just-
do this after the executive session. I'd be interested to know.
Why don't we just withdraw it all together until Ty does his due diligence?
I'd
okay
be
with
at least
that.
interested in doing it
Well,
after or whatever.
I will mention that I just got a copy of a red line version of the revised contract yesterday afternoon, but Shay Bowen in our office, and I think possibly even Andrew have been looking at this, and they had raised some concerns that I'm not sure have been completely satisfied yet. So and I just have alerted them to the past issues that Ms. Odell is referring to. So I think it can all be worked out. It's just that we're not comfortable saying sign it yet. We're comfortable with you voting to proceed.
I think we can table it.
I think we should table it until Ty brings the information back.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I also agree with tabling it.
Yeah. Yes.
If I may also, I know this is a really sensitive and very time sensitive process as well. It's unfortunate that we're not able to vote on this confidently today. I would recommend that we have an emergency meeting as soon as all the legal resolutions are concluded. We've got people being left at their homes and at doctor offices. And if this can help in any way to alleviate that, then we should move pronto on doing so.
I agree.
What's what kind of time are we looking like?
I think it's, well, with regard to any possible revisions to the draft as it stands now, that's a matter of, just a matter of a day or two. But with regard to any possible negotiation, and I'm not sure that there will be any terms that are not completely resolved, but with regard to the possibility of any further negotiation or refinement of the terms, that could take maybe just maybe 3 or 4 days, or maybe possibly up to a week, but I wouldn't think it would take that long.
All right. So soon after that, we can schedule a emergency meeting.
Or at least the vote.
Yes.
And we do have to realize this is the only group that can help us. There is no other paratransit system group anywhere else nearby that can assist in this problem.
Dr. O'Halloran, that was our one of our primary concerns. And,
exactly.
And we acknowledge that, and we've been in this situation with this particular party before, where they were the only source, but we were not getting exactly what we needed. But
I was here for that, Ty. You and I think we were probably two of the ones that were here for all of that.
I was here.
Tabitha as well. It was a disaster, but they did
a complete disaster.
They did get people to and from that needed to get there. Not all of them, some were left, but our alternative is to stop giving out as many, daily appointments that we're giving out. And that's definitely not doable. So if we can, I would like it, make sure that this is finished by the end of the week, because there are people who are in desperate need. And if we could have just a vote, which is all we're gonna need to do if we approve the legal team going forward. I mean, we can write the contract with all sorts of stipulations in it. If they don't have any people either, just like we don't have any people, what are they supposed to do? I mean, COVID is attacking every single employer in the country. And if they have people go out, you know, they don't have a whole bunch of backups laying around either, just like we don't. We're 10 drivers down in Paratransit. So if you can imagine how many people are being not picked up, I mean, if they send 3 vehicles a day, I'd be happy. Because that's 30 or so people who get to their appointments without being missed. But I don't know, should we set a time for this emergency vote, Ty? Can we do it on Thursday or Friday?
It would have to be Friday afternoon. I have a commission meeting on
You have the
Friday.
commissioners. Maybe we can have it Thursday so you can bring it to the commissioners on Friday with what's going on.
That would be great.
When is the city meeting? They just had theirs, so they're not on this week. So can we set it up for Thursday afternoon? Because this is critical, or Thursday morning, whatever the board's.
If Ty has enough time.
That'd be tight.
We have enough time. And again, the primary on this has been Shay Bowen. And I spoke with her this morning concerning all of this. So I think Thursday will be fine, assuming that there are not some critical terms of the agreement that CRC doesn't agree to.
I imagine it doesn't vary much from the last contract we have with them. Maybe just a dollar amount.
But I think we really need to have some penalties and additional qualifiers in this new agreement, because we had all kinds of issues. So it needs to be much more detailed than the last agreement, to the point of being almost picky-unish.
I don't know if we can penalize them, because then they may just withdraw. We're an even, you know.
But we got to be careful that we don't get billed, and you know, they really did some stuff last time.
Oh yeah, the accounting was atrocious. I think Terry had to go over there and actually do it for them.
And they're tracking, so yeah.
Well, we should be tracking that too. I mean, Stephanie and her crew are going to have to make sure that the hours are being satisfied before we send any checks, because they had no way to even bill us last time, and this was all new to them completely.
If I may, this contract is not comparable to the previous contract, although, as Ty says, they are reviewing that, but they will be working at our discretion. We will call them when we need their services. They won't be on automatically, if you will. We'll call them as we need them. And we have talked to them about their billing, and we have reminded them of the problems that we've had in the past. But I don't foresee those types of issues, although that's why it's in legal's hands, because we want to ensure it as much as we can that CAT is protected.
Yeah, because they were an on-demand service previously.
I think we called them the day before and told them how many vehicles we needed.
Correct. Yeah. We'll give them, we'll give them a manifest every evening. Right now, they have told us that they had some employees that they were actually preparing to furlough. So we were, it was a perfect timing, because they were going to furlough those employees. So they'll be able to have those employees help us, assist us, and they're working in full-time capacity. But
good. So that's nice mutual benefits.
Yes. So we will determine the service levels that we need. And as Stephanie said, with the budgetary constraints in mind. We are working within the budget that the county has provided for paratransit.
Excuse me, this is Andrew Walkoff. Just very quickly, one idea is that we could discuss in today's executive session some of the issues with this contract, and I think that will facilitate the board's understanding of what the outstanding issues are.
Yeah, why don't we revisit it after that, because we could debate it for hours.
That's fine with me too.
All right. Thank you for that, Ms. Wagner.
Yes, sir.
Chairman,
Yes.
do we have a motion on the floor to table this or to move it under old and new business?
I will make the motion to table it, and we can discuss it under old and new business. And then at that time, is it okay that if we feel like we are ready or prepared to cast a vote, then we could do so?
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Okay. All right, then I'll make that motion to table.
Thank you,
Second.
Director Stone. Okay,
We
we
don't
have
have to, do we have to vote on tabling?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
There's no discussion, but you do have to vote.
okay. Director Emister,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director O'Halloran,
Yes.
and Mr. Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Motion passed, Chairman.
Thank you. We've now entered into the part of the agenda for the executive director's report and department updates. We use this time to hear from staff, Ms. Ragland. I turn the floor over to you at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning again, and to you and to other board members, staff, employees, and others who may be in attendance with us. I'd just like to say, as we enter into our Thanksgiving season, that I like to believe that we all have something that we should be thankful for. I know we do. I think it's a great opportunity to reflect on that, on our blessings, and to find something that we can say that we're grateful for. So with that, I'd like to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving season. I'll go right into the director's update that's in your packet. I do want to mention that we're carefully following the OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration's recent mandate, and understand that it's being challenged. So we're closely following the outcome of that, and want to know then, we won't be able to decide until then what we need to do. Our day-to-day operations continue to be a challenge, of course, as you know, but we are moving forward. And again, I'd like to always thank those employees who have committed themselves to stepping up to the task. I want to remind you as well that we have a job fair scheduled on this Thursday, the 18th, at the Overthought Mall, located in the food court from 2 to 6 p.m. And remind you also, and Mike will probably mention it as well, that the Chamber's Eggs and Issues Breakfast is on the 1st of December. I'm sure that Mike has some other things that he would like to mention, so I'll turn the floor over to him before going into our updates.
Sure, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, good morning. You have the report in front of you. Excuse me. Basically, we are within the special legislative session. The House and Senate have approved the district maps for the House of Representatives, which I have sent you links to and a rough description of what those districts look like. The Senate maps were finally approved by the House yesterday and are on the way to the governor. The congressional maps should emerge sometime today. There was a preliminary Senate map, but from what I understand, there is now a House version of the congressional maps and a Senate version. that both should emerge today. We're anticipating action on these maps either by Friday or Saturday, or perhaps they will have to return on Monday to take final action on those maps. And as soon as we have those, I will get some large maps so that you can sit down and look at those and have a little bit better definition, particularly on the House and Senate maps on where those district lines fall. As to the congressional district maps, the action basically is in Metro Atlanta and Southwest Georgia. The first congressional district will remain largely unchanged. You saw our legislative priorities, which basically are funding for the water ferries, funding for regional transit training facility, funding for electrical vehicle maintenance and storage facility, all of those which have a state, federal, and local funding component. On the federal funding, transit funding is expanding. I know that Squire Patton Boggs will be providing additional information as those numbers unfold, but through a meeting yesterday with the e-commerce committee, the DOT was able to share a little bit that there will be transit funds. I don't have the exact numbers, but there will be a pot of money for electric vehicle charging stations, for electric vehicles, and more. We probably will see these emerge sometime in January. And of course, that will be 3 months into the federal fiscal year. GDOT and federal DOT are going to have to be putting on additional staff to actually set up all of these systems, and particularly those new fundings. And apparently there will be an increase in the amount of competitive grants that will be available, which will require an additional match. And there was some discussion at yesterday's meeting about the possibility of the legislature setting aside a pot of money for the required state match to some of these increased grant funds to be discretionary, since a lot of the rules and regulations will not even hit the ground before the legislature goes home or before the new budget will take effect for the state July 1 of 22. So that was good news to hear that they are thinking forward about how to access this money as much as possible. As Ms. Ragland stated, the Chamber's pre-legislative forum will be on December the 1st. I believe it's at the Westin, but I may be wrong. I'll send you more details on that. That's where they will unveil their legislative agenda. They will be making the decision from the board standpoint on this Thursday, and I'll have a copy of that and we'll send that to you. We are pretty much assured that the funding for water ferries and support for the amendment to the Transit SPLOST legislation will be on that agenda as it was last year. We will, the Chatham legislative delegation will be holding their pre-legislative meetings at Savannah Votech on Friday, December the 3rd. And we do have a time slot reserved to make that presentation to them. And I know that Director Ragland, Director Ragland and Commissioner Helen Stone will be accompanying me to that particular session. We'll have about 20 minutes to talk with them about what our legislative needs, priorities, and interests are, plans going forward, et cetera. And they have limited all of the presenters to 3 people and to 20 minutes. We are awaiting notice from Jay Melder, the new Savannah city manager, on when we can sit down and talk with him about the matching funds that were committed for existing federal grant dollars. He and I had a brief conversation last Thursday, and I am awaiting that meeting to be scheduled. And it was confirmed by another staff person that meeting is working its way through getting on his calendar. So I think we'll see something along those lines within the next couple of weeks. Waiting for the attorneys for Garden City, CAT, and the county to sit down and talk about legal options for Garden City, which, if that works out, then we can look at applying that perhaps to interest for new industrial areas, Port Worth and beyond. We're monitoring what's going on with the economic recovery funding at the state level. As you saw, I believe there was about $12.8 billion in requests for funds, with a pot of about $875 million. That's the first round. Not certain how that is going to play into funding for this legislative session, but that may be an option and a source. But there will be a second round that will emerge sometime between January 1 and the end of the fiscal year. And it's pretty evident that the rules and regulations are going to tighten up quite significantly, because there were a large number of folks who were submitting applications for huge amounts of funding, that many of the projects were not qualified to even be funded under either the state laws, state rules, or the federal rules. With that, I will be attending I'm in Atlanta. We'll be attending the first MARTOC committee meeting that has been held in a couple of years. And one of the topics of discussion at that meeting will be federal funding for MARTA, but federal funding for transit systems across the state as well. As usual, I will keep staff apprised of where we are, what's going on as things unfold. And if any of you are
I don't drink coffee.
okay, that ends my comments. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have if I can.
Mike and Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Ty Butler. Let me add to what Mike said with regard to Garden City possibilities or probabilities or potential. A conference call set up for Thursday morning at 10 o'clock among myself and County Attorney John Hart and Garden City Attorney Jim Gerard to discuss the alternatives for Garden City and hopefully to resolve what seems to be the best course of action, including consideration of all of Mike's good advice and suggestions. And that's set for 10 o'clock Thursday morning. After several weeks or months of trying to get it set up, we finally do, I hope. In fact, I know it's set up, so it'll be at 10 o'clock Thursday morning. And I just wanted to let you all, in particular, Mike, know that.
Great, Ty, thank you very much for that. Just so that you are aware, I think I've pointed this out in the reports for a couple of times now. I am representing Garden City on a number of issues. This transit issue is one of those that is somewhat collateral. And we are discussing with them the possibility, in addition to the discussions that we've got going on through the attorneys, forming some kind of community commercial CID, commercial improvement district, that perhaps could be utilized in implementing expanded services as well. So we've got a number of irons in the fire, so to speak, on this.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for that information.
Thank you. And if you need any help from me, Ty, obviously just let me know.
I'll just have to tell you which hat to put on.
I understand. I actually have a hat that has two bills.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, have you heard anything? Is there a GTA meeting coming up in December?
Yes, the GTA convention actually is December 7th, 8th, 9th at Jekyll Island. I am sorry, I just got that information in about a week ago and have not circulated that. I assume that has been received, but I will circulate that to the board. It is at Jekyll Island. The 7th actually is devoted to their executive board meeting and training. And so the business meetings will be the 8th and 9th. I will be there all 3 days for those meetings. I was able to clear some things off of my calendar. So I will send a copy of the agenda as well as copies of the hotel reservation information for which the deadline has been extended.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I knew it was coming up. I just hadn't seen any dates put out yet.
Their communications leaves a lot to be desired, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you, staff and board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to our service delivery and safety updates with Mr. Dumas, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Valerie Ragland, and to our chairman, Cody, and to all the members of the CAT Board of Directors. Thank you, Chairman Cody, also as you started out indicating some of the challenges that we're facing with the COVID issues still here with us. It definitely caused a challenge with us in our day-to-day job requirements as far as ridership. So we want to go over our highlights, but I want to also indicate that your service delivery report is included in your board packet. If you would, at this time, next slide, please. Our fixed route on-time performance for the month of October is slightly down from a year ago. Again, this has to do with the challenges with the shortage of call-outs and COVID-related issues. And so our numbers are going to be slightly decreased over this particular month as we continue on with our presentation. Next slide, please. Our fixed route ridership, again, it is slightly down compared to last year or this time last year in the same month. And again, it has to do with the number of call outs and the challenges that we face day to day. We do have, how fortunately, we're hiring. We've hired some drivers. And as was already indicated, we hope to have a successful job fair and increase that number. This will help us tremendously, as well as some other thoughts that we do have in mind, and we'll share at a later time with you all to increase our ridership. Next slide. Our paratransit, again, as it's been indicated, it's been challenged. Our demands have increased, and the number of riders using it, that also increased, even though our numbers have gone down. That means that we're doing more work with less people to try to carry more passengers. Next slide. The ridership average, again, as you can see that the on-time was down, but the ridership number is also slightly down. Again, we are not able to meet that demand, but the requests continue to come in. So we're continuing to take reservations, and we're doing all we can to try to meet the demands. And hopefully we will be able to get some assistance if we're able to incorporate the service as was mentioned earlier in our meeting. Next slide. Our top performers for the month for paratransit are listed there: Charles Robinson, Wendy Wilson, Alice Bonds, Michelle Newsom, and Erica Lockett. They're all close in the numbers, but the whole entire staff is doing an outstanding job day to day. Next slide. Our online reservation, we're slightly down than what we were last month, but we're still getting individuals calling in, and that does help. But we're still getting an increased volume of calls, as you'll see in our upcoming slide. Next slide, please. Our water ferry system, again, it is always doing good. Even in the downtime, we still have users, and so we have an increase from this time a year ago. And so water ferry system is doing well. Passengers are still using it, customers are still using it, visitors are still using it. So we're doing real good with our water ferry. Next slide. Our maintenance on distance between vehicle failure target, we're above our target, even though we're slightly down from last month, but we're still well above our target. Next slide. Our call center customer service, our wait time, we're still doing good, even though we've got an increase of call. We're still meeting that demand. They're doing an outstanding job under the leadership of Ms. Ashley Wilson. All the call agents, they're still 42 seconds average wait time. So that's real good. And it's up, better than our goal. Next slide. As you can see, the number of calls, it is slightly up than it was. In fact, it is up from last month, but slightly down. It is slightly up from a year ago, but down from a month ago. But the calls are still coming in, and that's because many people are still requesting our paratransit service, and the calls are coming in as a result of trying to call in and get the service. Next slide. Our incoming call answered the top three: Ophelia Williams, Basima Muslim, and Alicia White. Again, they're always close in these numbers, but these are the top three. They tend to go even higher than the goal that we set. But again, all of our agents are doing an outstanding job with the volume of calls that they're getting each and every day. Next slide. This is just a quick report on our accidents and injuries. And if you see that our workers' comp is slightly up. In fact, it is up from a month ago. Our preventable accident is down from a month ago. And the rest of it's just, drug screening, DOT physicals. Those numbers are just information that we share with you. Of course, we have Mr. Hall. If you have any questions, he can answer those if you have questions for him. Our next slide. And this, again, is just giving you an update on Chatham County average rollout for the COVID update. And again, if you have any questions, particularly to the COVID issues or the workers' comp issues, I will let you address those to Mr. Hall. But if you have any questions of me, I'll take that now. If not, that ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dumas. Ms. Roundtree will now come forth with the system development update.
Good morning, directors.
Morning.
For our system development update, we're going to start with our vehicle donation. We are very excited about that. As you know, on May 25th, 2021, the Chatham Area Transit Board of Directors unanimously approved the Community Surplus Vehicle Program. And that program was the award of one 2014 Chevrolet Express Cutaway that seats 14 passengers. And it was for qualifying nonprofit organizations throughout Chatham County. It opened, the applications opened on September 23rd. Applications were due October 29th. The review and selection took place between October 29th and November the 11th. CAT received a total of 17 applications. And so we are very excited about that for the first inaugural community surplus. We hope to have more vehicles, and we did not, because everyone who submitted application was very deserving. Scores were calculated or demonstrated based on community benefits, service coordination, clarity, and quality. As a result of that, the selected organization was the Savannah Royal Lions Youth Organization. A little bit about the organization. They were formed in 2014. It strives to offer youth ranging from 6 to 18 opportunities for personal growth. It is a sports organization. They also offer school tutoring and various annual community initiatives to teach the youth about the importance of giving back. This donated vehicle will be used to transport eligible children to and from their sports practices and or games. The goal for the Royal Alliance is to continue to provide resources for those of low-income, single-parent households, foster care, and homeless individuals. We have asked that the deadline for them to claim the vehicle is 12/9, and we wanted to also acknowledge our top 4, which were the Savannah Royal Alliance. Obviously, they were the recipient. First Assembly of God, SD Gunner Fund, and Star School Initiative. They all received the second most points for this initiative. Also, for the month of December, we wanted to highlight that there's going to be a marketing incentive that we're very excited about. And this is just to kind of really promote our vaccines, to try to encourage that. So throughout the month of December, customers through verification of their vaccine card will be able to receive 10 ride cards. That would be for our fixed route. And we also have extended that to our CAT mobility customers. The rules would be that they would just come to the ITC ticket window and present their COVID vaccine card and valid ID to the transit customer advocates. And we hope that this will really encourage our customers to be vaccinated, but also receive an incentive for their vaccination. The rules and restrictions for this type of program is that they must be fully vaccinated. They can only receive, it's a one-time deal. So just one time that they can receive a 10 ride card or a paratransit ticket book. Those who request paratransit ticket books must be existing CAT mobility customers. If they become vaccinated in the month of December, they're also eligible to receive this. And customers must go to the ITC in person. So this will not be something that they will be able to do on the buses, which would hopefully make the time go by faster, but we do hope that it will encourage our customers to be vaccinated. And that ends our presentation. All the other information has been included in your presentation for system development. I will entertain any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Roundtree. And I'd like to say congratulations again to our first recipient of our donated vehicle. And I was told by members of the committee that it was a very difficult decision, that they were all very deserving. But this organization, for most of the committee members who scored, stood out above them all. So congratulations again to them. And we'll move to our financial update with Ms. Cutter.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I will be presenting the financial update for the month of October, enlightening you on some of the key focus areas for the finance division. As you know, we are undergoing the full scope review. We had staff interviews in the month of October. All of the requested documentation has been uploaded for review by the federal government. The actual assessment is scheduled to begin late this month. The external audit is wrapping up. The final review is in progress, and we are moving forward with the 2023 budget preparation process with training, a user manual, and internal process discussions and planning. The revenue projected cash balance as projected for fiscal year 22 is displayed on the graph, with the low point in the month of August at 3.5 million, and the peak is anticipated in the month of December at $10.5 million. The October overview, during the month, the revenues total 1.8 million, expenses a little over $2 million for a variance, a negative $109,879. In comparison to the budget, revenues were budgeted at a little over 2 million and expenses 2.5 million. The good thing is expenses are being controlled to help get us through this difficult period. Cash receipts from external funding sources. We have the special district taxes at 448,200. We have our paratransit revenue, a little over 398,000. Port fees per occupied room, port fees a little over 48,000. And then of course, our federal grant assistance, a little over $391,000. Our operating cash balance as of the end of October, $4,099,546. The revenue by category, no surprises here. Grant funding, 38.35%. Our special district tax at 23.64% of total revenue. And our paratransit from the county, 22.34% of operating revenue. The operating revenue by category is presented in the table and of course depicted in the graph below. I've added an average column so you can kind of follow as the fiscal year goes on to determine what the average operating revenue is by category. The grant just depicts what the table, the numbers in the table above to give you a visual comparison. The expenses by category, no changes here. Salaries and benefits, the primary expense category, benefits at 24%, salaries and wages at 45%, followed by insurance and other categories as presented. The expense comparison by operating program, you see the average column on this chart as well. It lets you know what the average expense by operating program from July through October. And the red line on the graph below represents the year-to-date average by operating work program. The financial management goals for the October update. Of course, we're continuing with Munis training so that more staff will be experts in Munis and we can reap greater advantage as to the capabilities of the system. The compliance audits that are scheduled for the month of November, paratransit, security contract, and DBE participation. The succession planning training is ongoing, and we anticipate that continuing through the end of the year. We have another training for budget prep that's scheduled for November 30th. And we are continuously in discussions regarding the ferry system, expansion, and funding needs. This concludes my report. You have the supporting financial reports as a part of your packet. Are there any additional questions at this time?
Actually, just one comment. I was looking through the financials last night. I noticed that we seem to be down in all salary levels, which is good as far as budgeting, bad as far as service. So it's a mixed blessing at this point. I
Yes.
know we're trying our best to get as many new people in as we can. And I don't know, I forgot to ask this before, there were a lot of fixed route complaints. Was there any specific area where that was the prime or anything in particular that the complaints were about? I know Paratransit's always that we're late but I was surprised by as many fixed complaints. And I probably should have asked that before when Mr. Dumas was giving his report.
Yes.
Again, so if you don't mind, your concern was about the number of complaints overall?
Yeah, it was up quite a bit for October.
That's correct.
Especially on fixed. I mean,
yes, sir.
That one's usually not where our problem is.
Yes, sir. That was a big jump. One of the issues there, the challenges there as well, is because of the shortage for COVID and COVID call outs. We have several operators who are not coming to work. And therefore we have the decrease in meeting our service each day. Some of the routes are not all the routes are being covered, but the service time or the wait time has been extended because of a bus. Instead of having 5 buses or 6 buses on some route, we've been reduced to lesser buses on those routes. So the headway is longer, the wait time is longer. And with that, with the limited seating, it means that the passengers are having to wait even longer. So the calls come in because of that. And so we hope to
I'm sure we're not going to be out of that anytime soon. Well, when are we anticipating increasing passengers? When the mandate for that expires in what, January?
Well, those are some discussions that we are going to have with you as members of the board. We have been having those discussions internally and been following the practices of some of the other transit properties that are in our size category. Most of them have already resumed capacity seating. That doesn't mean allowing people to stand, but allowing capacity seating. And we are right now having those discussions as we prepare to present that to members of the board as well.
And that would be continuing with mask mandate, but increasing riders per vehicle.
Increasing the ridership, yes, sir.
Okay, but it's still we're still under the mask mandate.
The mask mandate will not go away. It will continue.
Yeah, I don't see that anytime soon.
No. And we're still allowing passengers we're providing a mask for passengers. We're still doing that as well.
Have we had any really bad situations because of that? There's been no violence on the buses as far as we know.
Not a violent situation. We do get calls from time to time where the operator may call for assistance because someone is refusing to wear the mask. And that's been the greatest extent. That doesn't happen every day. So we're very fortunate with that. Yes. So it's isolated incidents but the operator, we support them when they call and say that they have a customer who is refusing to wear a mask.
Good. Yeah, that's, that makes the public feel good too. That we're actively taking care of making sure the passengers are masked when they're on the vehicles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in a rough spot here. It's no matter if we do one thing, something else goes. Everything isn't going in one direction, unfortunately. And there's no blame. The COVID is the fault. We all know that, and we appreciate the work that everybody's doing to try to alleviate as much of this chaos as possible, because it's everywhere. It still is. I just saw this morning that hospitalizations, deaths, and cases are on the rise again. So I don't know how that's going to play out over the next 3 months. The average cases went up 25% in the last week, mostly in the upper middle part of the country and through part of the, desert Southwest is where most of the case rise is. Georgia so far is not to that yet, but of course, Thanksgiving is next week. Christmas is in a month. New
Yes.
Year's is in 6 weeks. Those are all high contact events.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to have to be ever vigilant, and
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate what everybody's doing. It's a lot of work.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Halloran. And that concludes our updates, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ragland. Thank you and staff for that, your updates. Now that we've completed the department updates, I would like to call for a motion and a second to enter into an executive session to discuss personnel
Second.
matters, potential litigation. Thank you. We got a first and a second.
May I add, Mr. Chairman, that in addition, with regard to the purpose of the executive session, it's also for confidential and privileged attorney-client communications and advice and attorney work product.
Yes.
I'll amend to add that to it. Thanks, Ty.
And I accept that as the second.
All right. Let's call for a vote to enter into executive session.
Yes, sir. Director Emister,
Yes.
Director Odell, Director Odell.
I think she dropped.
I think she
Yes.
got kicked out.
Thank
Oh, there
you.
she is.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
That's
Director
better.
Adams,
But look at
Yeah.
look at your letters.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director O'Halloran,
Yes.
and Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Motion passed, sir. I'll start the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we are
Yes.
now back in open session.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dumas. All right, I'd like to note that now that we are in executive session, I'd like to note there were no votes taken or any action taken during executive session. With that being said, do we have any more business? Any old or new business? I also want to state to the public that we have a meeting on Friday with Mr. Cates concerning our ferry service in the future. We have any questions or any comments at this time? All right. The time is now 12:33, and I want to call this meeting adjourned. I thank everybody for their participation. Look forward to seeing everybody shortly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Have a great.
Thank you,
day.
everybody. Okay.
All right, bye-bye.